My name's Andrew Whisson. My husband Mark and I own Whisson Lake. We're based in Piccadilly Valley, a tiny 15-acre, 100% Pinot Noir vineyard. Our altitude is about 615 meters above sea level, so we are the highest commercial vineyard in the LA Hills. Whisson Lake was started in 1985. Mark bought the land in 85 and planted in November that year. And our first vintage was 1989. Very small, 40 liters, very, very tiny. Our philosophy making wine in Whisson Lake was based on very traditional Burgundian style that probably started 100 years ago and hasn't changed. So very low tech, and everything's organic based, no additives, simple, and we try to show people our wine true to the vineyard, to the character. In our winery, we use a very low tech, basically just manually shoveling grapes into destemmer. Then we use our picket bin, it's a half-a-ton bin as our fermenter. Go through fermentation in maybe 3 weeks' time. Then we cold soaking it for maximum 14 days. In general, probably 10 to 14 days. And then we press them into the barrel and then finish everything in the barrel. We don't rack and just let them sit there to the following spring, so they will go through malo naturally. We want to show people when the vintage, the weather's different, the wine's different. We are not interested in making every single vintage look exactly the same. So we don't fine tune it, we don't change it. Normally we aim to have at least 3 wines. That's our black label, our white label, and our monopole. But monopole is a quality thing, so we don't always have it each year. And the Gris de Noir, the white wine, the Blanc de Noir we call it, is only happen in the cool vintage. I think the best wine we made so far will have to be the 2012 white label monopole, Pink Rose. It's just very, very elegant, very silky, and got the beautiful transparency in the wine. It's very delicate. Mark and I were on the same page about Pinot. We think Pinot needs to be delicate and structural, has really fine acidity that just lingers, make you feel so comfortable. As soon as the wine hits your mouth, you just feel almost hydrating. I get people asking me about Gris de Noir quite often. Oh, what is Gris de Noir? Oh, is it rosé? Is it orange wine? I always say, no, it's not orange wine. It's like champagne. They press the juice of black grapes and ferment it, finish it in the barrels, but we don't do the secondary fermentation. So no dosage, no bubbles, literally like a still champagne. It can only happen in cold year here from a special slope that's facing slightly south. So you get a cold southerly wind, and they always retain high acidity even in a warm year for red wine.
My name is Mark Whisson. I planted this vineyard in 1985, and I'm still here. What got me interested in Pinot? Many things, I suppose. First thing was getting a copy of Hugh Johnson's Encyclopedia of Wine for Christmas years ago. And straight away I realised that the key thing about Burgundy was that where it came from was what it was. Pinot does best in the kind of country that I like, this sort of country. And most importantly though, Pinot is endlessly variable and endlessly interesting. Yeah, that's what gets me interested in it. Why did I choose this place to grow Pinot? In fact, the locals thought I was a bit of an idiot for having bought it, because it is so steep. But I bought it because I understood that in Burgundy, and we use Burgundy as our yardstick, I suppose, as our reference point. We're not trying to copy Burgundy, but we use it as our yardstick. In Burgundy, the best vineyards are pretty much always on eastern facing slopes, sometimes with a bit of south in them, sometimes with a bit of north in them, but basically it's east with a bit of south, which equates to east with a bit of north down here in the southern hemisphere. So my reasoning was that if east is good, then really steep east must be better. The pink rose are where monopole has come from. Every year we've done a monopole so far. We do our barrel tastings blind, so we don't know where what we select, what Andrew selects for monopole comes from until we go back out into the winery and look. It always comes from the pink rose. Those rows run from the very top of the hill, so 615 metres, down to the bottom of the old vineyard, almost the lowest point. I think it's something like about 530 metres or something like that. The bottom third of the pink rose has deeper soil and a northeast exposure and is quite sheltered, so it's fairly warm, and I think the fruit from there tends to be fairly rich. The middle part is very lean but still fairly cool and just faces east. And then the top half of the vineyard is quite lean soil, almost due south and very exposed to the southerlies. So I think the pink rose have a combination of richness and elegance and leanness that comes from that sort of diversity of exposures. My philosophy is always be low impact. I suppose I'm a true conservationist. I'm happy to have things as they are. I don't really want to change things generally, unless in the case of something like a vineyard I can improve it slowly, but improvements take a long time in vineyards, real improvements. So everything we do in the vineyard works towards slowly improving the fertility of our soil, and improving the health of our vines, and trying to grow better quality grapes. We're trying to do the best we can in the vineyard to allow the vines to express the season as best they can and the vintage as best they can. And when we get the fruit into the winery, we're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to let the ferments go their course so that the grapes can express the vintage and the season as best they can and have that reflected in the wine at the end of it. And it's only ever going to look like it comes from here.